All right, guys, we're getting the band back together. The three of us are here. We're checking out Witcher 3 on our respective new gen consoles. Steve and I are playing on Xbox. You're checking it out on PS5, Drew. There's a few things here. I've got some questions, man, because we
Yeah.
do have some differences with the way this game's going to play through.
Yeah.
I kind of want to highlight some of the new kind of features we're going to be seeing in, this kind of new update. PC is also available as well. There are some extra features PC players get. Well, they always get them over us console players, but at the same time, there's some pretty cool stuff here, and this is the first time I've ever played this game. This was a 10 out of 10 game 7 years ago, so here we are 7 years later, and what's this game bringing us now? I'm telling you, I'm enjoying Geralt of Rivia and his story here. I think, I knew what I was kind of getting into. I've watched the Netflix series. I know there's some controversy there, but I knew about The Witcher and the series of the games. It's just nothing it's not something I've ever really gotten into. So, getting the chance to kind of jump into this game now, albeit, all this time later, I'm really enjoying the story. First and foremost, I love the characters we get introduced in this game. I like Geralt. I love Vesemir. There's a lot of characters you kind of learn about early on, but the story really kind of gets its hooks in you early here. So that was the first thing for me, at least, that kind of drew my attention. And then I started to kind of notice some of the other things, because this is a big game here. There is a lot of stuff to go through, guys. I'm not going to kind of clog up this review with all the different things we're doing, but there is definitely a ton of menu tabs to go through here. So the tutorial of this game was laid out really well. I thought the way they kind of, every new screen you went into, there was a little information blurb just letting you know what you're looking at and how to kind of process that information that's on that screen, whether it's in the menu, whether it's something you're interacting with in the world. So there was a bunch of stuff kind of right at the get-go that, maybe felt a little bit overwhelming. So I'm going to throw it to Drew, because you played this game before way back when, and now you're playing it again. What did you think jumping back into this game after all that time?
It was one of those things. Okay, I always wanted to go back because I never finished it, right? And I was waiting. But here we go. CD Projekt Red announces that they are going to up-res everything. They're going to fix a bunch of stuff and kind of modernize it. I'm like, yo, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for this to come out. Finally comes out. I'm like, yes, here I am, PS5. Let's go. Man, I was like, it's just a swing and like not a complete knockout of the park for me, which is kind of disappointing, right? I was really hoping. Here we go. We are 7 years later, and I feel like it's still a 7-year-old game. It does have some improvements coming over on the current gen PS5, Xbox Series X and S, but it's not enough. When I was hoping, and I wasn't expecting like this Demon Souls remake that we get from Bluepoint, right? I know that one was made from the ground up. We also knew going into this that there was been some troubled waters. They took this back from the original developer, brought it back to the original developer over at CD Projekt Red so they could fix what was going on over there. Saber Interactive was porting this over initially, and it didn't happen. So here we go. And it's like, well, okay, well, that's a little concerning, right? If they do this, well, we know CD Projekt Red is already working on other titles. So how much love and care are they going to put into this? This is one of their beloved franchise. They're going to put it in here. Here's the thing. Graphics, I feel like, remember back in the day when we were on PS3 and Xbox 360, everything comes over and go, hey, here's the HD version. Welcome to the HD version of The Witcher 3. This is kind of where I'm at, right? Controls still feel clunky. Yeah, they're a little updated, but they're not enough. When you come off of great games that we play today, especially when we're on horseback, Red Dead Redemption 2 crushes it. Rockstar puts everything at a whole other level, right? I just finished up not too long ago. Corey, you and I were jumping into Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Horseback again. You jump on Geralt's horse? Roach is a box with 4 legs. It is rough, man. And I'm getting hung up on everything. There's just a lot of things going on. I was in one section, there's a castle, there's barn doors. I'm walking down, Roach is in front of me, right through the barn doors. Barn doors never even move, just kind of like, boop, like a ghost. And then I open up the doors. Like, there's just a lot of these little things that kind of take you out of the experience. 7 years, I wanted this to kind of feel a little bit more of a next-gen experience. And I just don't really feel it. I'm having a great time. It is one of the best RPGs of all time, right? So, yeah. But, I played it back in the day. And it does just feel like an HD version for me. How about you, Steve?
Well, apparently I did play it a little while ago, and I actually totally forgot the storyline because I think I was one of these people that got caught on the side quests. And then because it's not like a 5-minute thing and after an hour or so, I forgot what the story was like. So I actually restarted again, and I just kept to the main story this time. And like you said, Corey, I love the storyline, the way they introduced the characters. For some reason, the graphics is not pulling me in, but the story is, and the
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
And the more and more I progress, the more I'm enjoying it. When you're meeting like Yennefer and Ciri, you're playing them characters. I really love them characters, and the way, and even the little comments like Gerard makes, that kind of witty humor, it keeps the game alive. And like I said, I'm really enjoying it. I've been having some issues as well. There's one, I think I was in the Baron's castle and I was in the basement part, and I got everything sorted using my Witcher vision, and then I could not get up the ladder. And I'm not a Google person, but I actually had to Google, and people had issues, and you actually have to look at the ceiling for him to climb up the ladder, because what was happening was you'll walk up to the ladder, climb one rung, and then he'll step back down again. And then it kept doing that over and over again. And obviously the horse is, you hit the A button, it's supposed to stay on the path, and it just sort of goes its own routes. You've got the dotted lines of the route you're supposed to go. I've checked the waypoints, and it's going a different way. So I have to turn back on itself, and I think one, it actually went towards a tree, and he actually knocked him off with a branch sticking out.
Oh no!
So the graphics is not, but the story has definitely got me 100%. It's a massive game. I'm looking at the map, and it's, you've got to get to the signposts to get to the fast travel. You got to find them first.
Yeah, Steve, you're right. This game is massive. Drew, we've definitely been spoiled as of late. I've played the Spider-Man re-releases on PC, and we just finishing up AC Valhalla. Like, these are great, solid games, albeit they have issues of their own.
Sure.
But when we take these games from years past, whether they were, games that were very niche games or big, AAA titles like this one, there's always going to be a level of it showing its age, especially if they're not rebuilding it from the ground up. So, I do like the differences. I like the changes with the, the ability to be able to quick cast opposed to always pulling up your casting wheel. That's something, that takes a little bit of thought. Maybe the community had something to do with that, saying, if you're going to release this, make combat, flow a little better. Let me, get through, have my signs. So I'm not always just slowing time down to make these choices. I can kind of do it on the fly. It may take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you're used to playing the other way, but you can switch, you can use one over the other, the abilities in the menu to switch that on or off. So I thought that was really nice. And the fact that we get to play on console and we have the option now to kind of change up the way we see this game graphically. They give us those options. We have the option to play in performance mode, which essentially gives us, a very, I think it looks pretty good, but I do understand where you're coming from, Drew. This is an HD version. When you start to really look into things, you start to see some inconsistencies and some stuff that just
look at the
you
trees.
Understand it.
Right? Look at the trees.
Yes.
Okay, so when you take a look at, if you look at the right angle, that is a flat tree, right? And that's where it starts to show its age. You don't get those textures in the bump out, right? Instead, if you look at it head on, you get an HD version of that graphic, which looks fantastic, right? Like, the world does look good, but it does show its age being over the course of 7 years, where if you go to that tree, flat, 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 flat. And that's just kind of, it takes you out a little bit, right? Especially when we are, like you say, Corey, so spoiled as of late.
Well, I just want to also mention as well, no problem. I just want to mention the voice acting. Again, when you got a good story, you got to have the actors to portray the characters. And, we always see in the press, they always get overlooked. And a phenomenal job on the voice acting, as well as the background music, to keep the suspense when that thriller thing's happening, or a bit more mellow. So that for me was like really good as well in this game. I really enjoyed.
So honestly, boys, with your opinions, if I've got to score this one up and give it a score out of 10, I think I'm going to give it a 7.5. I wanted to give it an 8, but I just think there's a little too much of, it's showing its age here. You feel it, especially with the games we have nowadays. So I had to lower it just a touch, but I think this game is as solid as it was 7 years ago. Steve, the story, the music, the voiceovers, that's what's carrying us through. Drew,
Yeah.
the graphics, I think they're better, but they're still dated, so you gotta take some points off there. Guys, I think this game is still solid. I think people are still gonna love this one. So make sure, if you haven't seen this one, jump on, get this one downloaded, and check it out.